I think this is the best performing car I've ever had on Turo. If I look at the math and I look at actually how much I spent versus how much I made, it's the best one we've ever had. It's a Fiat 500 Gucci from 2012. We paid $6,500 for the car. Let me walk you through what we made off of this and what our ROI was. It is probably the best we've ever had. However, I wouldn't buy it again. I'll tell you why. So here's the earning for the full calendar year 2024. Now, we bought this car, and these returns are a little low for a couple of reasons. Number one, we bought the car in January. And so when a car is brand new, it doesn't have any reviews. People don't know if it's a steaming pile of garbage or not. And so the first month is always low. And number two, we had to cancel a fairly major trip in July because someone backed into a post and it had to be out of production for a little while to get its bumper repaired. It wasn't a huge thing, but it had to be repaired. So we had to have it out of production for a little while. And so we had to cancel a trip in July. Even with that being the case, we earned $9,959 off of this car in calendar year 2024. And I bought the car for cash for $6,500. Now, some people are going to look at that and say, buy my course. I'm an expert. I'm going to teach you all about how to become a multimillionaire in Turo. I'm going to say that is all bullcrap. That is all high quality bullcrap. If there was a way to become a multi-millionaire with no work in Turo, everyone you know would be doing it. Turo is an investment and it's a job. So what I want to do is I want to take you behind the scenes and show you all of the other pieces that go into the return. And the return is good, but it's not magical. So let's break this down piece by piece by piece on a Excel spreadsheet that I did for another car that we talked about, its profitability, and we'll talk about these kind of side by side. So first off, this spreadsheet is still set up for the 2016 Infiniti QX60, which I did in another video. But I want to walk through some of the fundamental differences between a larger, more expensive car and a smaller Fiat 500, because I think some of those differences really should be factored in to your decisions, what you're going to buy in your fleet. So on that Infiniti QX60, we made 14,400. Maybe I'll just put this over to the side so you can see it the whole time. Okay. So on that Infiniti QX60, we spent a lot more for the car. And if I'm totally candid, it's a much nicer car. It's a much nicer car. But for the Turo, we paid $6,500. Oh, wait. Our gross income was $9,959 on that car. You can see here from the bar graph that we made money and it did better in the summer and then it did better and worse in the summer, which is where everything else did great. The biggest reason for the difference between that and the Infiniti is that Fiats are hot garbage. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. They're so bad. Ah, they just break all the time. All right, if you're new to this channel, let me give you a 1-minute walkthrough of some of the things we do here and why you might be interested to keep going along. In this video, I use my history with owning a company currently that imports bandages from China to explain all of the complexities around Trump's tariffs the day after Liberation Day. It was a fascinating conversation. We discussed everything from building a supply chain, how tariffs are going to affect rebuilding supply chains, repatriating jobs, how much we pay our people, what that's going to do to employment, what that's going to do, I think, to national security. I overlay my decade of financial advice on top of that to say what I think it's going to do as far as revenue for the government, repatriating jobs, foreign relations, international trade. And we gave all of that in about an hour conversation where I was just walking through on a whiteboard and discussing what was happening. In this video, we talked about how Turo's insurance is not really insurance. There's a protection plan that you have with Turo that covers a certain amount of stuff. It doesn't cover everything. You can really give Turo anywhere between 40 to 10% of your money in exchange for a commensurate level of insurance. We talked through all the ones that I've chosen, why I've chosen, and what to expect when you actually have an accident, what Turo is going to back, what they're not going to back. In this video, we discuss why gold isn't actually a very good retirement asset. It's become kind of US standard financial advice that, hey, if you're concerned about inflation, just buy gold. That's terrible retirement advice. I don't care what anyone says. We talk about the reason that single family residential, which my firm, Bedrock, has bought over 5,000 pieces of single family residential real estate. We talk about why single family residential real estate is fundamentally a better retirement asset than gold is in every way, shape, or form. That's actually those two videos. This one, we're rehabbing a $1 million property. We're putting about $1.5 million into it. We're letting people watch start to finish. This one's just some more financial advice. What if rates go down? What if I'm sitting on the sidelines waiting to get into the real estate market? This was a 1 year reflection on our Turo fleet. We have 21 cars on Turo, and it was fascinating. We do breakdowns of some of our Turo cars, a $16,000 car that we bought for Turo. What is the actual profit at the end of the day on that? This is because there's so many people Oprah hyping Turo as this incredible returns. We try to get to the bottom line of that with you. One of our properties that we oversee for one of our Bedrock investors got shot 67 times. As you can see, the channel's not just this one thing you're watching. It's not just entrepreneurship, right? It's all the different aspects of 7 different companies that I own. It's different overlays of the decade I spent in financial advice, advising on over $300 million. This channel is me trying to give as much good information as I can for free to do some good in the world. If that interests you, please do and subscribe. It helps in every way that we need to grow the channel, to get more good done out in the world. Thank you guys so much. With that being said, let's go back to the thing you clicked on. Fiats are hot garbage. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. They're so bad. Ah, they just break all the time. They just break all the time. They've constantly got a check engine light on. We own 6 of these. And if I'm totally candid, we're just not going to buy anymore because they break so often and they're so high strung and they're just so hard to get parts. And the parts break off so easily and the dome lights fall out of the roof and your guest is like, hey, this car is falling apart in my hands. And there's no way to address the issues with a Fiat in a way that makes it feel like it's a sustainable car and a business model. Good heavens, I'm so glad I only paid $6,500 for it. It'll pay itself off. We didn't lose any money. We made some great money, but it was a hassle. So that's one of the things you have to keep in mind. How much of a hassle is this car going to be? How many times am I going to have to take it to a shop? How many texts do I want in the middle of the night being like, hey, the headlight fell out of your Fiat, or the headlights turned off, or there's some fault, or the dome light fell off, or the whatever, the armrest broke off. Every single one we own, the armrests have broken off. We have 6 Fiat 500s. We have almost every single armrest because they're built with this chintzy garbage construction. They didn't design it well at all. They just break off. And so we have them all like zip tied to the thing they're supposed to be to because there's no way to remount them. And there's no way to order a used armrest for the Fiat 500 from 2012. So they are a hassle. I'm going to say that straight up. Fiat 500, hassle. Great return. But a hassle. We just wouldn't buy anymore. It's been a hilarious time. One of them just got totaled. One of them's out for the count. This one's having issues with registration. Whatever. Hassle. That a piece of this business is hassle. So that's the reason that you saw this huge dip in the summer is because we had to keep putting it into the shop and taking it out of the shop and putting it in the shop and taking it out of the shop. Even then, it did really well. I'm really happy. But let's move away from the actual returns for 2012 for that Fiat and let's look at just the math because I know that's really what you're here to see. Okay, so the math. We earned $9,900, $9,959. We spent $6,500 on the Fiat. The staff costs are virtually identical. In this moment, I'm saying, hey, I'm paying $170 a month per car for my staffing. Now, that's somewhere between $170 to $250. If you called me tomorrow and said, hey, Jeremy, I want to buy one of these cars. I want to do this. I love what I'm seeing on your channel. I'm happy to do that. We do that for people. I love it for the mileage deduction alone. But I would say, hey, it's $250 a car because that's really the cost it's got to be for us to stay to do all the work. I think if you did it, you can factor $170, maybe $150 a car. If you're doing all your own cleaning at your own house, if you get yourself a good setup, like a bunch of quick release nozzles and you clean them on site and you don't take them to, there's a lot of little places where you could find efficiencies. Those efficiencies cost something. They cost time, they cost energy, they cost effort. I don't want to have my staff washing cars in the blistering Charleston heat in the middle of a July. I wouldn't want to do that. I don't make them do that. And so we have a car wash that we pay for. Sure, that costs me $400 a year. It's to keep my human capital safe. It's to keep my people happy. It's worth it to me. All right, so staff costs are going to be identical. Depreciation, I'm gonna still say 10%. I bought it for 6,500 bucks. If I sold it next year, assuming the market doesn't do anything crazy, it's gonna go down about 650 bucks. I think that's real. Repairs on a Fiat 500, even though it's a substantially less expensive vehicle than that Infiniti QX60, I'm gonna keep my repairs at 200 bucks a month because it's a substantially more obnoxious vehicle than that Infiniti QX60. Airport parking is going to be the same. Car insurance is going to be the same. South Carolina property tax is going to be different. That's some stupid millage rate, like 0.06 of whatever the crap. It's going to be like 100 bucks. It's like 80 bucks. Vehicle registration is going to be like 60 bucks. It's going to be super cheap just because it's so much cheaper. Car wash is going to be the same. Deductible is going to be the same. Parking is going to be the same. Loan is going to be similar, right? Let's look at these numbers one more time. Because right now it's coming in negative, and I know it wasn't negative. So let's look at these numbers one more time. Staff costs 170 bucks a month per car. Let's just say that's real. Depreciation, that's real. Repairs, that's less than. That's what's the problem. The repairs are actually substantially higher, 200 bucks a month. The repairs on a Fiat 500 are probably 1,200 bucks or 100 bucks, 100 bucks a month. Oh, 100, 150 bucks a month. Airport parking, I think that's high, but that's likely. Car insurance, 110 bucks a month. That's accurate. Corporate insurance, that's accurate. South Carolina property taxes, accurate, accurate. Car wash, 34.99. I think we've actually got that down. I think we've actually got that 20 bucks now. But until I confirm that with staff, I'm gonna leave it there. Deductible, 750 bucks. Problem with the Fiat 500 is if it does $2,500 of damage, it totals it. It's dead. So on this one car, I'd actually drop the deductible of 500 bucks just because you're not going to end up eating that deductible. And if you eat that deductible, the car is going to be destroyed. And if you eat that deductible, you're just going to go out and buy a new car and you're not going to buy another Fiat 500. Parking, 1,000 bucks a year, loan, 520 bucks. That's real. Those are real numbers. What you can see right now is you can see that our cash on cash return, because we paid so much less for this car, right? And the numbers are slightly different. We paid so much less for this car. Our return is like $1,000 a year. We made $9,000. We spent $8,700 of that. That includes a loan here at 8%. So the lender made good money and didn't have to do any work. That's why they do it. So the lender made good money. We still made about 18% on our money, on our time, and the staff got paid. So if you take this and you break it out and you say, well, I'm the staff, I don't have to pay my staff. And I didn't really have to pay as many repairs as I thought. Let's say you got $600 of repairs this year because it just worked well. And let's say you bought it at $6,500 and zero was your depreciation. Let's say you're parking it at your own house. You really are just factoring that into your mortgage or your rent. And you say your deductibles, hey, I didn't have to eat it. I got lucky here and there. Car wash, I'm washing it at my own house with a hose and a squeegee. That number can go through the roof in one car. But the problem is when you get 21 cars, you're going to have to start adding all of these expenses in this expense stack to the car. And so that's the reason on YouTube people are like, hey, I earned 90% cash on my car. It's because they haven't gotten to the size that they need staff. They have not factored in at all their repairs. Their car insurance, they may not be factoring correctly. Their deductibles, they may not be factoring at all. There's lots of ways that if you don't account for all of the expenses in Turo that you can end up getting skinned. And that's what we see. We see people get into it, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. They go get a really expensive loan on the product. This is interest only at 8%. They're paying a lot more, and they just get skinned if they're not really careful. So that's my biggest problem with Turo. People talk about Turo and they see the top line numbers and they don't factor in all the other expenses. They say, oh, $9,000 for 6,500 expense. Then they don't talk honestly about the expenses it takes to actually run a car. How many hours are going to be in traffic between airports, paying for an Uber back. Your car is going to be worth less. You're going to be doing repairs. You're going to be paying for some airport parking. You're going to be paying for car insurance. You're going to be paying vehicle registration. You're going to wash your car. You're going to do your deductibles. If you ever have to pay for a $2,500 deductible with Turo, you're going to be paying for parking somewhere, or you're going to be incorporating it into your house, and you're going to be paying for loans. We like the product. We're going to buy more cars. I just made an offer on a car this morning for $18,000. We like the product. We like the expansion. My investors love the product. The mileage alone is worth doing it if you've got good income. But the truth is, you've got to understand the entire expense stack. And what you'll notice really clear is the fixed expenses that are the most, like the biggest pieces of the expense stack is the cost to actually turn the car over, and the car insurance, and the parking. That's the same on a Fiat 500-ish and a third row SUV. Those are both similar numbers. And so even though you would think, hey, he bought it for so much cheaper and he made similar money, the returns, it's about double, right? We made a little more. This one was a lot more hassle. That 18% felt like 40% worth of work, and that 11% felt like 6% worth of work, right? And so every car works a little differently. That's how much we made on a Fiat 500 that we bought for $6,500. If you enjoyed this video talking about our Fiat 500 and what we really earned on it, you might enjoy, I bought a car for $16,000 to rent out on Turo and made this much. It's the same overlay, but it's specifically talking about our top earner of 2024, our Infiniti QX60. If that interests you, click right here.